Good morning, Clemto and everyone. Mixed weather out there today. Not too cold. I think we're supposed to have rain later today, but kind of mixed day. Anyway, hope you're having a good day wherever you are. I hope your weather is good where you are, but probably for some of you, it's not. I think for some of my Pennsylvania family, they had some real weather the other day, so I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, good to be with you. We are looking at the Ten Commandments. And on what is today? Today is Wednesday. On Monday, we looked at commandment number 7, you shall not commit adultery. But one of the things we considered is in this list of 10 things, we have a couple things we considered that are kind of important for us to build on. But one is that God committed about 1/4 of these commandments directly to the family unit, whether it's the children-parent relationship or this is the husband-wife relationship. And so that really says something about how important family is in God's structure of how good community, how good society is built. That the family, as He created it to be, is very, very important. We're doing a lot of social experimentation these days with redefining family and marriage and what all does that mean? But God was very clear in His Word what it meant when He created it. And in essence, He's saying through the Ten Commandments, this family unit is very, very important. And so even the other 8, 7.5, 8 commands all have to do with family as well, because we're going to come to things like stealing and lying. Those are things that hurt families. You shall not murder. The very first murder happened within a family unit, very destructive to family. So all of them have something to do with family. 2+ of them directly have to do with family. So let's keep that in mind when you do that. Secondly, all of these commands, they're said in short little ways, but there's a great deal of meaning that was behind them. And a lot of them were said in a negative form. So you shall not do something. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not lie. I should just put it up there and let you see it while I'm talking about it. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not lie. You shall not covet. You shall not make for yourself an idol. You shall not have other gods. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God. There's only like 2 that are said in a very positive sense. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy and honor your father and your mother. Having said that, even though these are said in very short little quick bites and they're said in the negative, there actually is a great deal of positive that is meant to be part of them. So the point to this commandment, you shall not commit adultery, is not just that you should not have sex with somebody who's not your wife or your husband. It's much more than that. It's just this was God's way of stating a key principle, and that the fact that marriage was important. So when we came down to Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4, it says marriage should be honored by all. And if you're going to honor marriage, because God created marriage for one man and one woman to be married to each other, then the marriage bed itself should be kept pure. That's the point. This is the 7th commandment here. And the marriage bed should be kept pure, for God will judge the adulterer and all sexually immoral. But the reason that that's important is because marriage should be honored by all. Now, I want to say that these 2 things that talk about family, the raising of children, the relationship between children, parents and children, and then the relationship between a husband and wife, these are 2 of God's greatest blessings that He has given us. But they are also 2 of the greatest challenges that God has ever given us. I mean, even parents with naturally good kids, there are just days when you want to pull your hair out. They really are. There's just days when these little people that we love just drive us absolutely bonkers. And then there's days when they cause us great heartache at times. The parent-child, child-parent relationship is so important and such a blessing, but it is actually incredibly hard. It's hard work. It's not easy. And for some, it's even harder. Marriage is the same way. Marriage, excuse me, is God's is God's great blessing for us. But I don't know a single relationship that's harder than marriage. I'm married to a good woman. We have built a good life together. And marriage is not easy. And I think you know that. Anybody who's married knows that. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. One of the reasons is because when God made man and God made woman, he made them differently. And while those differences are a blessing, those differences drive each other crazy. Okay. We just, at times, men drive women crazy, women drive men crazy. It's just the way life is in every culture I've ever been in. I've seen the same dynamic at work. But we need to remember that those differences that drive us crazy are also meant to be the blessing in our life. I want us to look at Genesis 1:27 for a second. Here it is at the bottom of my screen. This is at the end of the creation account when God was establishing his order, his perfect order for this world and how things were meant to operate. And so Genesis 1:27, as God's summing things up on day 6 about creating human beings, he says this: so God created mankind in his image. You can substitute human beings because mankind it meant both men and women, even though it has the word man in it. People kind, as somebody would probably say today. But basically, when God created humans, he did it in his own image. And in the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. I want you to think about that for a second. Men do not reflect the image of God alone, and women do not reflect the image of God alone. Men and women in a marriage relationship reflect the image of God. And so in order to do that, God created men and women very differently. So together, in all of our good points, we are reflecting the image of God to all of mankind, to all of other human beings. That's why marriage is so critically important. A marriage between a man and a woman is, I'm sorry, I'm not getting down on anyone, but two men do not together reflect the image of God. Two women married together do not reflect the image of God. It takes a man and a woman made very differently to together in a relationship, a committed married relationship, reflect the image of God. If you have been called to singlehood, it's still possible for you to reflect the image of God, because that is the world that God has called you to. But in marriage, marriage is a special, I want to say symbol, but it's not a symbol, but it's an illustration. It's a statement, the declaration that this is who God is. But as I've said, those very differences are what often drives us crazy, one and another. They also create 1,000 little rubs. They create thousands of opportunities for misunderstanding. They create thousands of opportunities for little hurts and big hurts. They create thousands of opportunities to be anywhere from annoyed to really mad. That's what marriage is, and it's work. It's work to try to make it work. Even in the best of marriages, it takes work because we are different. But that's okay. That's how God designed it. So don't ever forget that. When your spouse is driving you crazy, a lot of times it's probably simply because they are different than you are. And you really don't want to marry somebody who's exactly like you. I don't want to be married to me. I don't know why she wants to be married to me. I know I don't want to be married to me. I want to be married to something that's different than me. And that's Karen. And I'm grateful for that. So, having said that, the other thing that I was hoping to touch on today is, because this talks about adultery, maybe I'll come back to this on Friday. If you have had this circumstance happen in your life, please know, while it does cause great damage to a marriage relationship, sometimes the marriage survives, sometimes it doesn't. This is not the unforgivable sin. It is not the end of the world. It is a grand mistake. It's a big mistake. Shouldn't have happened. I'm not getting down on anybody, but I do want you to know it's not the end of the world. It's not the unforgivable sin that God could never forgive. This is just one of a list of lots of sins that God is willing to forgive. He only ever said there's one sin that can't be forgiven, and that has something to do completely over there outside of the realm of what we're talking about. So anyway, just wanted to encourage you with those thoughts about marriage, and look forward to seeing you on Friday. And we'll probably look a little bit more at this before we move on next week to the others. Have a good couple days between now and then.